I'm Oral Hershiser, and I am on the Blue Review. Hey, this is Sean Green. You're watching the Blue Review.
Thanks, Sean.
Bum,
Bow,
bum,
bow,
bum,
bow,
bum.
bow.
Hey,
Hey.
it's a winning streak. An actual winning streak is happening right now for the Dodgers. Wow, it's been so long since feels like since they put back-to-back wins together. But welcome to the Blue Review, presented by LAX. I'm Marcas Grant. That is Greg Bergman, and it feels a lot better doing bendies when they've put together wins back-to-back. It's been a while.
And not only bendies when they win back to back, one of them against the Astros, and Carlos Correa struck out 3 times, and that made me feel really good. We were talking about it a little bit in the group chat.
Yeah, we were. You've used the phrase that we can't use on this show for Carlos
Two of them.
yes,
actually.
On this show, or we can't use them on the show. You used it in the chat every time he struck out, and I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, it does warm my heart. But
it goes along something along the lines of "Sit the blank down, you blanking blank a blank."
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. You all can, I'm sure, fill in the blanks there and figure it out. But the Dodgers do get a win last night in Houston to back up the series finale win they had in St. Louis. We'll talk about that and plenty more. But first, I want to let you know that the Blue Review is powered by LAX. The next time you're heading to LAX, look up. You'll see the future of airport travel in action as the new all-electric Skylink People Mover train is undergoing testing. For more information, you can visit lawa.org/ESPN. So, the Dodgers last night, an 8-3 winner over the Houston Astros. And where do you want to start? You want to start with Yoshi? You want to start with the offense showing up? Where would you prefer to begin this journey?
I think we should start with Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Okay. Well, he was the pitcher of record last night, shaking off his previous start, which was not a good one, in which he was knocked around a little bit. And did not have a great start to this one, Greg. The first inning was sort of rough, but after he got through what was just a weird first inning, you gave up a couple walks, a little flare single to Jose Altuve, a wild pitch that scored a run. Just a rough beginning, but after that, he looked like Yamamoto again.
And that's typically what he is. And so I really wanted to start with him because I was looking up the stat and I finally found what I was looking for. So it made me feel better. But yeah, no, this is typically what happens with him. If he can he's like one of those guys right now. I'm sure it'll be better as the season moves on. But he's a guy right now that in the first inning, he has trouble. And to the point of that in the first inning this year, he has a 7.71 ERA in the first inning alone, where his batting average against is over 300. He has almost an 800 OPS against him. It's where his BABIP, which you love to talk about, is 350. So if you get bat on ball versus him, it seems to be getting into play, and he's giving up a lot of hits. He's giving up a lot of runs. And if he can get out of that inning, he cruises from then on. He has a 0 ERA in the second inning. He has given up 1 hit total this season in the second inning, and he has 7 strikeouts. So once you get to that point, he's so much better. And so when he gets there, he just calms down. Essentially, he gets through that first inning, gets through those first couple of guys, and he's like, all right, I'm the pitcher who I think I am again. And you saw some of them were just ridiculous looking pitches, starting at the middle of the plate and either going fully inside on a right-handed batter or dropping down low, or it was going. There was so much movement on his pitches, and his curveball looked fantastic last night. Yeah. It has all year, but it feels like, okay, that pitch is too high. Oh no, now it's going to go too low, and it lands right at the bottom of the zone. It's a really tough pitch to hit. And after that first inning, he looked great.
Yeah, I don't remember who it was. Maybe it was Christian Vasquez or maybe Cam Smith. It was somebody near the bottom of the order who saw 3 pitches. 2 of them were splitters, and he didn't have a prayer. It was one of those where that thing was just diving and disappearing once it was going. But to your point, I think he threw 28 pitches, I believe it was, in the first inning. In the ball game, he threw 95 for the rest of the game. So, I mean, let's do the math on that. What you're talking about, 67 pitches for the other 5 innings. So you're right around 13 pitches or so.
Where do you want to be?
per inning, which you take out that rough first, if you split that into two, and we're talking about him going 7, maybe even pitching into the 8th inning if he's not under stress. So, he shakes off the bugs and just looks like himself the rest of the way. That's a positive. It's just nice to see him bounce back after having a bad start previously. Bad start by Yamamoto standards.
And it could have gotten, worse. I mean, they took the lead. They were up 2-1 of them because of that. And it was all the things that you talked about. They were just a little soft. Then the wild pitch, and then Will Smith throwing it into the back past Yamamoto. They just looked out of sorts in that first inning for whatever reason, and they could have lost. Typically, those kind of starts for Yamamoto, they lose those games because 2 runs is enough to beat Yamamoto typically. The offense doesn't get runs, and they did. They blew up yesterday. It was nice to see a little get back game for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you because when it was 2-1, I know it was only the first inning, but part of me was like, are we gonna do this again? It's gonna stay 2-1 for several innings, and then they'll put guys on base and not be able to get them in. But that was not the case. The Dodgers last night showed up offensively. They got 1 in the top of the first on an RBI single by Kyle Tucker. They got 2 more in the second, and then 4 in the third. And everybody participated. Everybody had a hit last night except Max Muncy and Shohei Ohtani. We'll get to Ohtani in a little bit. But, the offense was there. Maybe getting Kyle Tucker back in Houston, is that the key? Is that the key to getting him jump-started for the year?
I mean, if that's what gets him jump-started, awesome, because he did. I mean, that first one was just a little pop-up where he was walking to first base because he was so annoyed that he popped up to left field, and it just dropped because the Astros defense. The Astros are a bad team this year, and I couldn't be happier about it. But so Tucker had that, and then the home run, that must have felt good. He's still swinging at the very first pitch, and he's swinging out of his shoes on those first pitches. It's a little frustrating, but it's good to see him actually get bat on ball and hit some barrels, and to be able to, get the home run, and maybe that'll make him feel a little bit better. But this is now the 3rd or 4th time we said maybe this is what's going to get him going. Yeah. And we'll just keep saying, maybe this is what's going to get him going because we have to. But otherwise, everybody else looked really good. I think that it seemed to me, Marcus, that there was a collective effort to put the ball into the air. Yep. They did not want, except for Shohei. Shohei grounded everything into the ground.
No, he did. He had a fly ball late in the game.
Oh yeah, later on he did have a fly ball, but before that, everything was either a walk or on the ground. But it seemed like everybody was trying to get the ball, was trying to lift the ball and not roll over on everything, and that seems to be what happened, and it worked because everybody was putting bat to ball, and they were hitting it deep too. There could have been a whole bunch more home runs off that because they were seeing the Astros pitchers pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess after you hit into 11 double plays in the space of 2 games, you're gonna figure out a new approach to that. So there was a lot more lifting and separating from the Dodger offense last night. But was good to see Kyle Tucker sort of get things going a little bit yesterday. Had a couple of hits, had the home run. Which, by the way, if you had the Dodgers home run drought being broken by Alex Freeland, then come on down to the window, collect your winnings. That was wild. Alex Freeland, I know we've talked about his offense, and we talked about it a lot yesterday with Jeff Spiegel, but 3 hits last night, on base 4 times. I'm not going to suddenly proclaim that Alex Freeland is a great hitter, but Greg, if we're going to hammer him for not hitting, we should probably give him some love when he has a the night. Like he did last night.
He was great. I mean, everything we talked about yesterday was that he has the same amount of walks as Hae-Sung Kim. He has the same amount of home runs as Hae-Sung Kim. Everything, all things equal, they're basically the same guy right now, except that Hae-Sung he has less strikeouts and he's faster, and their defense is pretty similar. They're basically similar players, but Hae-Sung was just better offensively. And last night, maybe he was watching the Blue Review and he said, okay, well, let me show you what I got, because he was really good. He was good defensively. And like you said, he was 3 for 4 with a walk. So, that's what more could you possibly ask for? Every time he came to the plate, you felt good. You felt that he was going to, that he was going to find grass. So it was nice to see Alex Freeland looking good. And if he can start keeping it up, then once again, Doc will be proven correct, and that the long runway is what it needs to be. But at the same time, I still want to see Ha-Seong Kim stick up here right now.
Yeah, seeing in the chat, Roy Estrada saying, why not move Call and keep Freeland and Kim in the majors? Edmund can play outfield as well, TBH. I like our middle infield. Well, first off, it's the best middle infield in baseball.
Some have said, or you have said, or everyone's saying.
Yeah, I mean, it started with me, but it quickly spread to everyone, even though I've only told the 3 other people in our text chain. Look, defensively, I do actually really like what I've seen from Kim and Freeland. I think offensively, our expectations are always going to be sort of limited on them. They're neither one I think is going to be a consistent source of power. I like Kim's approach at the plate. I think he's doing the right things in terms of just looking up the middle and going the other way. Hopefully last night has Freeland sort of on the right track offensively, but it is going to be a question of what happens when Tommy Edman comes back, when Mookie comes back. I know yesterday we said Santiago Espinal seems like he's the guy on the chopping block. I don't know. Does Alex Call have to worry about anything potentially when guys come back? I don't think so.
I don't see for Alex Call. By the way, Espinal, I'm also concerned. I don't think they will because he's a right-handed bat and the other guys are left-handed. I mean, I understand that Freeland's a switch hitter, but at the same time, he's typically a left-hander. So I don't know if they want to lose that right-handed bat, even though Edman is a switch hitter and Mookie is a right-handed bat. But I think Alex Call is an outfielder, and you just don't have any true outfielders, backup outfielders. So I don't think it's going to be Alex Call. He also has pretty professional at bats. He either gets a hit, or he takes a lot of pitches, or he walks, or he gets hit. Like he's not going to be on base every single time, but he has been pretty productive this year when he has been in. And he's a pretty decent outfielder too. I think they like his at bat quality, was how they like to put it. So. Yeah, I don't think Alex Call is going to be the one to go down.
Yeah, the other part that we didn't mention, the other thing we didn't mention is that Kike Hernandez is also going to be back soon too, which gives you another utility guy that you can throw pretty much anywhere you need to, whether you put him in the outfield, whether you put him in the infield, whether he pitches in mop-up duty like he has previously. He can do a little bit of everything too. So that's it's a good problem to have, but eventually it will be a problem for the Dodgers once all these guys are back and ready to go. Do we talk Ohtani? Is this the moment where we dive into this?
Yeah. I mean, so Ohtani. I was listening to the broadcast. I love Oral Hershiser on the broadcast, and also he's at the beginning of the Blue Review saying that he's on the Blue Review.
Yes,
but he is so smart with the way he's talking about. He was talking a lot about how he's using his upper body, and when you're not using your hips and your lower body to get around on a ball, you're going to be all arms, and when you're all arms, you're going to drive down on the ball and you're going to turn over on it, and that's what he's doing over and over again. So once he figures out how to just to engage his lower body a little bit more, which I'm sure he will figure it out because he's one of the best hitters in the history of the game, then he's going to be just fine. He walked a bunch of times. I think he walked 2 or 3 times,
twice.
2 times.
Yeah,
twice. Yeah, so he walked 2 times. So he has to have a pitch to hit. The better part for me is that he's not swinging wildly all over the place at things. He's allowing pitches to go by. He is being more patient at the plate. And now maybe if that patience comes in, he'll be a little bit, he can start to figure out that lower portion. And also when he was grounding out, he was still waiting on the pitch and he was grounding out to going opposite field.
Yeah.
As we all know, when he's going opposite field, that means that he is feeling a lot better. So while it wasn't as productive, and he's going on his streak now of, I think, 0 for 16.
17, yeah.
0 for 17 as a hitter, he still got on base 3 times, and he was useful in those times.
Yeah, and that's sort of where I am after last night, is that it feels like he's starting to figure things out, at least in terms of his approach at the plate. Back-to-back games without striking out. He's got 3 walks in those 2 games. So yeah, he hasn't gotten a hit, but step one, I think for him was just not chasing. It was not going after pitches out of the zone. That had been the problem, where he was very much expanding the strike zone. So now he is forcing pitchers to have to throw him strikes, and eventually he's going to start barreling some of these up. I thought in the 9th inning, was it 9th inning, 8th inning, he got one because he had a 3-1 pitch, and it was a curveball down the middle and he just got it off the end of the bat.
Yeah.
But again, the fact that he's willing to take pitches out of the zone, to work walks, it was a thing Travis Rogers mentioned yesterday, that one of the things that was so impressive about peak Barry Bonds was his incredible plate discipline. That, in his prime, Barry might see 3 strikes in a week, and he put 2 of them in the bay. But otherwise, if you weren't going to throw him a strike, he was willing to just stand there and take his base. And I think sometimes, understandably, Shohei gets frustrated and wants to make things happen, and then that's when he starts to expand the zone. So, if he's able to sort of rein that in, I think he's going to be fine. The other part of it, Greg, Freddie Freeman, 2 hits last night. He struck out 3 times, which isn't great, but the 2 hits, definitely a good thing. If the guys behind Shohei, whether it's Freeman, Tucker, Mookie when he comes back, if these guys are hitting, then Shohei is going to naturally see more pitches to hit as well.
Yeah, he's going to. So if you got also, if you have people on base in front of him, he came up with the bases loaded where he was like, okay, well, you got to get some, you got to do something. You can't just put him you can't walk him this time. So nobody wants to be the pitcher to get Shohei going again. So they're going to try and be pitched very, very carefully. And so the other part of it, he took batting practice on the field yesterday. Mm-hmm. That's what he did. That's remember in the World Series, it was like, okay, I gotta take batting practice on the field so I can actually see the ball. And I think and he's doing that now, knowing that he's been struggling a little bit. Look, Shohei will be fine, and there's a lot of signs of life there. It's just the fact of putting it all together. And when he does, he's going to end the season with 50 home runs, and he's going to be amazing. He's just going through it a little bit right now. And I don't know if you do, but I don't put anything into the fact that he's pitching also. Maybe a little bit of tiredness, but I just don't think that's part of it.
I will say I think it's a little bit in terms of, and I know he was asked about this, and it was mentioned on one of the broadcasts recently, that he said that it's harder to work your way out of slumps. I say him, because there's nobody doing what he's doing right now, but he's finding it harder to work out of slumps simply because he is focusing on pitching a little bit. And basically it's just a situation of, he's like, I just don't have enough time to work on both, right? If I'm working on pitching and I'm trying to get my side work in and I'm studying hitters and that sort of thing, it does sort of naturally take away from maybe extra time I could spend in the cage. I don't think he's using it as an excuse. It's just him trying to figure out what that balance is. So I don't think it's specifically because he's pitching that he's not hitting, but I think because he's focusing on pitching, it's sort of cutting into the time that he would normally take to work on his hitting. If he were just a DH and he were in a slump, then he'd figure out either I'm watching more film or I'm spending more time in the cage or whatever, or what have you. Now, because he's got to pitch every 5th or 6th day, some of that starts to go away a little bit. But I do think in the end he'll be okay.
So it's fair to say that when he slumps, it might be a little bit more prolonged than it normally will, but it still doesn't have anything to do with the other one. So when he gets out of it, he'll be just fine when he gets out of it.
When it happens.
Right.
And at some point it's going to happen. Now, that being said, Ohtani on the mound today for the Dodgers, not going to DH, which I believe actually was a switch. Yeah, but I think that was a switch because I think initially he was expected to DH in this game. I think that was what Dave Roberts had said a couple of days ago. It has since switched. From what I understand, it is with Ohtani's blessing that they went to him and asked him. And maybe it is just a case of, hey, look, I'm not going well at the plate right now. Let me just focus on being as good as I can be on the mound for 6-7 innings, whatever it's going to be. So we'll see if maybe taking a day off at the plate is what he needs to sort of get his mind right and help him a little bit. But yeah, no Shohei DHing. I assume then, Greg, it's Dalton rushing again because that's what it's been.
Yeah, that's what I would figure, that it'd be Dalton rushing again, and I think that's part of it too. Look, hey, Dalton rushing is actually hitting the ball well. He's getting on base. He does have a high on base percentage and slugging. He's hitting home runs. He hasn't for a little bit, but he's still getting on base. While we can at the beginning of the season, let's get him as many at bats as possible to keep Will Smith also going well. So let's get him in. If you're cool with it, let's take your day off. You'll be fine. And we can have Dalton rushing. This is just another opportunity in a week to get Dalton rushing some more at bats. And I think that's maybe the way they're looking at it, that, hey, we got another guy that's pretty hot. We have to keep riding it as long as we possibly can and keep getting him in the at-bats to work through if there is anything. So, yeah, I think look, he's going to eventually pitch and hit at the same time, and it's going to be a lot down the stretch because he has to do it in the playoffs. If you can not do it at the beginning of the season, great.
Yeah, I think that's sort of where they are right now, especially with them slumping. I think it's easier to say, hey, just take a day off from hitting, work on your pitching, and then we'll figure this out as we come along. Do you think it's weird? Maybe this is just me being an old school soul about this whole thing, but having both of your catchers in the lineup at the same time, that has always been, it's always just made me nervous when both Rushing and Smith are in the lineup at the same time.
Yeah, it's a little bit odd, but I know Alex Call is a backup catcher as well. So you do have a third catcher without being a catcher in case something does happen there. Yes, it's odd because you shouldn't typically the backup catcher is there in an emergency. Yeah.
You know?
It's there in an emergency. So, it's weird, but the way that this team works, they kind of just push the boundaries. I mean, you've seen it before where there was 2 games in the last week where Dalton Rushing pinch hit or Will Smith pinch hit. Yeah. And if they went to another half inning, they would have to play the field and it would have been all over the place because everyone would have been out. So you'd have to figure it out. Maybe Rushing at first base and maybe Will Smith plays the third. I don't no idea, but they play with fire a little bit here at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it hasn't become an issue yet. There's a part of me that sort of holds my breath a little bit that nothing bad. I mean, I don't want anything bad to happen to those guys anyway, but especially when they're both in the lineup at the same time. Like if something happens to one, then you're out a catcher or a DH or whatever. It's a whole thing. So. Whatever. Speaking of Dalton Rushing, what are the odds that he does something to alienate the Astros? I mean, he seems to.
I mean, would you be upset if he did something? After this game, the odds of someone on the Astros coming out and saying Dalton Rushing blank, blank, blankety blank, it's probably around 95%.
I mean, he might get the key to the city. If
it's definitely going to happen, but it's very likely to happen.
Laura Lar saying, I hope Dalton goes off on Correa or Altuve.
Fine. How annoying was it when the first at bat that Altuve had, just a flare single to right?
Just a little, man. Yeah, over that.
Does it have to be you? Like, of all people, does it have to be you?
All the people with their, Oxy face cleaner uniforms that they were wearing yesterday.
Whatever. I hope Correa strikes out every single time he comes up to the plate.
That'd be fun.
That'd be great. I mean, you got close to another one. You got close to another golden sombrero.
Yeah. So anyway, we will see tonight what happens as the Dodgers and the Astros go game 2 of their 3-game series. Shohei Ohtani on the mound for the Dodgers going against, I had it and I lost it. There it is. Peter Lambert. I do not know anything
old
about. Old
Pete Lambert.
So first pitch 5:10 from Houston, and we're back with you to talk about it tomorrow. I've got a couple minutes left. Anything?
Yeah, I don't even. I mean,
you want to fill these last 2 minutes with?
I want to fill these last 2 minutes just with the fact that it's beautiful to see, but also at the same time, what happened to the Astros? I mean, they're one of the worst teams in all of baseball. They're at the bottom of the AL West. I'm pretty sure the Angels are better than them as of this point. They weren't that great last year. They missed the playoffs in the first time in forever, and now the Angels. Sorry,
they're one game back. Yeah,
come on, Angels, figure it out.
The West Sacramento A's are currently leading the American League West right now,
which is wild. The Mariners, Rangers, Astros, and Angels are all below 500.
Yeah, the A's are the only team with a winning record in the division right now.
And then you have the Central, where everybody is above 500. And then the East. The Braves are 25-11, and everybody else is below 500. By the way, Chris Paddock from the Marlins was DFA'd right after he decides to just shove it.
After just destroying the Dodgers. Yeah, so that part's fun. All right. We filled 2 minutes. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody, by the way. Stick around for the Sedano and Cap Morning Extravaganza coming up here right after we are done. Thanks to Tim for production assistance. Thanks to everybody in the chat for hanging out with us, as always, on a weekday morning. Back tomorrow with you, 6:30 to 6:55 here on the ESPN LA YouTube channel. For Greg, I am Marcus. It's been a Blue Review presented by LAX. See you, everybody.
See you.